Welcome back to Daybreak on Citizen TV. This show, excuse me, the show that brings you what you need to think about as we begin the day. My name is Sam Gituko, and the 47 counties are hurting because of insufficient funds, delays in exchequer releases, high wage bill, and corruption. Can the Senate help devolution in 2019? We are joined by Speaker Kenneth Lusaka of the Senate. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Being the first time you're on the show this year, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
I know the year is too old already. It's been how many days? 43 days into it.
Right.
But how is the Senate? You now resume duty today. Just quickly, what are some of the things that you will have to do this third session?
Thank you very much. Yes, we resume today, Senate at 2:30. Of course, the first business is to constitute the committees, and the first committee is the House Business Committee, which we shall be constituting today at 2:30, and then after that, it will then have to prioritize, because it's the committee that deals with the business of the House. Then they will now prioritize what is going to be discussed in the week, and then thereafter. Of course, top on the agenda is the bills that came from the National Assembly. These are government bills. We have the energy bill, we have the petroleum bill, we have the Kenya Roads bill, the irrigation bill, the land value index bill, and public-private partnership amendment bills. These are bills that came to the Senate towards the end of the last session and were not able to be discussed. So these are going to be given priority because they have a lot of bearing on what is going to happen, not just even in the counties, but in the whole country. Okay. So these are going to be given priority, and then also other bills and motions and statements and petitions that the Senate was not able to discuss in the last session.
Right. All right, so let's get into it. And because for how many years? It's 6 years now, going into the 7th year very soon of the Senate. And the formation of the Senate was to protect devolution and to promote it and to help to ensure that it runs smoothly. But looking back, because we've been having conversations with several governors, there are several challenges that are facing these counties, and they're wondering where the Senate comes through. And I want to begin from the point of last year we saw a supplementary budget that reduced the equitable share of the counties by 9 billion shillings, and that succeeded. So that means that counties lost between 100 and 200 million shillings in their budget. This obviously, having been a governor, affects how they finance their operations. Are we likely to see more of this as the government seeks to have supplementary budget, reducing money allocations? And what will be the voice of Senate in this?
Of course, it's the intention, like you have said, Article 96 mandates, gives the role of the Senate. And the role of the Senate is to protect devolution, county governments. It's our wish to see that money that goes to the counties is not reduced. Of course, it has been increasing, but of course, we know there have been challenges in collection of the funds, and therefore, some reductions have been witnessed. But we are trying our level best as Senate to negotiate with the Revenue Allocation Commission and all others that are involved in matters of finance, to ensure that money that is going to the Senate, that's going to the counties, is not reduced. So we shall be discussing, I think that's one of the issues that will be coming to Senate, to argue out that we must ensure that we give enough money to the counties to be able to perform their duties. Because if we don't fund the counties, then we definitely have a challenge in terms of the counties performing and meeting the expectations of the people through devolution, meeting the expectations that Wananchi expect as a result of devolved governments. So I think we'll try our level best to negotiate to ensure that we have more funds going to the counties.
Okay. Still with the counties, when you look at reports from the Control of Budget and, of course, the Auditor General, it would indicate that counties set out to spend at least 30% on development, but eventually they don't. And I want to begin from the financial year 2018-19, the first quarter. The report that came from the Control of Budget showed that between July and September, some counties spent zero money on development. And the main reason is that no money was sent to them for development votes. How do you ensure that this is not the case?
That is curious, because when there is no single money spent on development, it's not a very good sign, because the PFM Act says that at least 30% of the funds that go to the counties must be spent on development. Therefore, when there is no single cent spend on development. These are the issues that the Senate wants to get into to find out what exactly happened. Because when money goes, the governor should be able, the county government should be able to put at least 30% on development. I know that most counties inherited inherited a big staff. The human capital is very high, but that is no reason why they should not spend some money on development. So these are some of the things that the Senate will be looking at, the committees that they are going to look at and find out exactly what happened. And that is why it is important that the Senate has been requesting for money, has been asking for money, and I think I can see light at the end of the tunnel to do some oversight work, to be able to actually go to the field and find out exactly what is going on in the counties. Because one of the handicaps has been that senators have not had any money to carry out the oversight work. But at least, like I've said, I'm happy that now there's some money that's going to be availed for the senators to be able to do this. And
how soon is that?
It's immediate, because this has been discussed. It was discussed by the president and the treasury and the leadership of the Senate. And as we speak now, I'm confident that the money is going to be availed immediately. This is going to really address one of the challenges that the Senate has been facing, because they have been operating without any money to oversight. And
I would presume that this is for the 47 elected senators. Yes. But would you know how much that would be?
The initial one is going to be, the block figure is 500 million. So it is going to come to the Parliamentary Service Commission, and thereafter the regulations of how it's going to be spent is now going to be formulated to see how it is going to be exactly spent. So that is something that is going to take place immediately we resume, and it is going to be really something to smile about, because the Senate is going to be effective in its oversight. Some of these things that you're talking about are now going to be addressed. We're not going to wait until maybe we get the Auditor General's report, but they'll be able to intervene where there are issues.
You speak about the size of the human resources that counties inherited from the previous local authorities. And when you look at the reports that I referred to, control of budget as well as the Auditor General, you see a situation where the recurrent expenditure goes beyond 70%. Case in point of Machakos County for the financial year 2017-18, the development vote was about 14%. The rest went to operations and paying personnel emoluments. So what is this that the Senate can do to ensure that the requirements of PFM Act, Public Finance Management Act, are adhered to in utilizing these resources?
We are looking at one of the issues that the Senate is going to address in coming up with legislation is the County Public Service Board. Because at some point, we must just have to bite the bullet. Because it is true that, like I said, most counties inherited stuff from the local authorities. But there's need to have a rationalization, and this was done sometime, I think, in 2016, both at the national government and the county governments, just to establish what is the optimum staff that is required in the counties. And you realize that most of the counties are actually overstaffed in terms of, because apart from the staff that they inherited from the local authorities, there are also staff that the governors have been hiring, in specialized areas, advisors and all that. But then, like I said, we might just have to bite the bullet by rationalizing, establishing exactly what is the optimum staff that is required, and then we find a way of either retrenching or not even retrenching, but laying off some staff so that you remain with the optimum staff. That is something that is painful, but it will have to be done, because you cannot have a situation where 80% of the resources that are coming, or 90%, are going to paying salaries. So that is a decision that must be taken at some point.
So is there a specific initiative that the Senate is willing to take, maybe in terms of legislation?
Yeah, that's why I say that we're going to looking at the public service, county service boards. I think we need to come up with legislation that is going to give direction on how hiring of staff should be done. Of course, in tandem with the SRC that deals with salaries and all that. So I think a conversation must be started around that, so that we have staff that are required. I can assure you, I've been, having been also a governor, you realize that we had some staff that, work that's supposed to be done by, say, one person, you have about 5 people, or you have 10 drivers and you have 1 vehicle. Or you have, a situation like that.
They drive in tons.
They drive in tons. Some are just, they come, wake up, go to the office. but there are no vehicles to be driven. So those are some of the decisions, like I'm saying, that will be taken, and I think the Senate will also be taking a lead in trying to come up with legislation that can also regulate that, so that whatever funds that go are also in tandem with the PFM Act.
Okay, let me focus on still on the issues to do with money, because there has been an outcry in as far as how money is allocated to the counties. You recall that formula that has 45% of the resources going to counties based on their population size, and there has been quite a discussion on how this needs to change. I don't know, as Speaker of Senate and former governor, what are your thoughts on how money should be allocated to the counties?
I think there's a formula that the CRA has come up with. We're going to have a meeting later this month to look at the new formula that they have come up with. But of course, it's a very sensitive and emotive matter in terms of, there are different interests. But I think one area that I know is given prominence is population, when looking at, because money is not going to, you're not giving money to animals or trees or whatever. But the population size, I think, plays a key role. Right. But that's not the only criteria. But, we have population, and those who have been also saying, let's look at the size of for example, the county and that kind of thing. So I think it's a matter that is still under discussion. And of course, given that I'm the speaker and I'm the one who is going to preside over, I not want to get into...
You don't want to give your comments?
I don't want to give my comments because there are many, many opinions that are going to come, but I'm sure we shall be able to come up with a recommendation, or we shall be able to come up with a formula that is going to be acceptable, if not by everybody, but by maybe 90% of the county. So I think that's a matter that we are going to have a conversation. There's already a meeting that has been scheduled between the CRA and the senators.
Okay, all right, I want to leave that at that point. But a few weeks ago, we saw the Deputy President leading the meeting of IBEC, Intergovernmental Budget and Economics Council. And the take-home was that he told governors that they have to ensure that they are able to raise their own revenues from the counties to supplement certain operations they have to finance, whether it's development, whether it's recurrent, or even the pending bills that counties are still struggling with. In the year 2017-18, the target for counties was to raise 49 billion shillings in their own source revenue. They only went up to 32 billion shillings. But part of the complaint has been that counties never file or deposit this money in the National Treasury, so it's not traceable.
I think that is something that must really be emphasized, the own revenue collection by the counties. I think this idea of relying on revenue from the national government, the counties must also start to rethink about that, because they should be able to generate their own revenue. And because as it is now, it's like, all counties are just expecting money from the national government to go to service their activities. But you see, if they can also come up with ways of generating their own revenue, some counties are doing very well. I know when the county started, there were a lot of pilferages, there were a lot of leakages, and a lot of money was being lost. In fact, the argument, there was an argument that was put up that how come even the local authorities used to raise more money than some counties currently. But I think most of the counties are now automating their revenue collection, which is a very good thing, because you minimize then the aspect of people pocketing money that they have collected and accounting for the money. So that's an area that we must really focus on, and I think even as Senate we need to find ways of ensuring that money that is collected by the county governments, first of all, is properly accounted for, is banked and declared. So that it also, and the budgets are also based on how much you raise. And one thing that I also want to laud the CRA was in the formula they came up was that counties that were going to generate more money were going to be rewarded. There's a reward for raising more money, so that if you raise more, you are given more money.
But you've been a governor, so why is it so hard for the revenue that you collect, you deposit it with the National Treasury for the sake of accountability? That should happen. And of course, if there's any governor who is not doing that, he's breaking the law. And those are some of the things that we are saying. You see, if
the oversight role of the Senate. If it's properly, if we are going to do our proper oversight, those are some of the areas that we want to address. And that's why I said at the beginning that the funds that are going to come to assist the Senate to oversight properly, those are some of the areas we are going to focus on. For example, the Committee on Finance can be able to get out there, find out, you know, at random, just go and check what is going on in the counties, is money being collected. And once the governors, once the county governments know that there's some body that is effective and is checking on how revenue is being collected, I can assure you that they will be more careful in terms of sending the money. And of course, those who don't do that, the penalty should also be spelled out so that they are not let off, or no, they are not let to go away with the money that they have collected and not surrendered to the treasury.
Part of the roles of the Senate is oversight. And I know the primary oversight of a county government is the County Assembly. But ultimately, the Senate has to do that. When you look at the work of the Senate, especially in the last parliament, the 11th parliament, there were several governors that had been invited to the CPAIC, County Public Accounts and Investments Committee, including yourself, to respond to questions of that had been raised by the Auditor General. But we see that process taking so long. I don't know the latest accounts that you're dealing with, but we have not seen people really being put to account for resources that could not be accounted for by the Auditor General. What is the Senate planning to do this season?
One thing that I want to, and I've said this severally, is to build the capacity of the Office of the Auditor General. Because as it is now, most of the reports take so long even to get to Senate. For example, Senate now is dealing with 2015, 2016 audited accounts. So 17, 18, they have not started. They are dealing with 2013. So a lot of this, we end up being more morticians than physicians, dealing with the post-mortem than dealing with the real current issues. So if they build the capacity of the Auditor General, then they should be able to work, to come up with these reports fast enough, and then they will also get to the Senate early enough. But I want to laud the committee, because they have really tried their level best to look at all these reports that have come. But they're also trying to, because again, looking at all 47 reports differently, separately, sometimes it may take a lot of time. So there's a conversation going around in the Senate and the committee, coming up with recommendations on maybe looking at all these reports together, and then tabling them as in bulk, so that then they can be looked at. Because, like you said, and that's why also I want to emphasize that we must build the capacity of the county assemblies, because they are the first point of call in terms of oversight. If the county assemblies, if we build the capacity of the county assemblies, they should be able to deal with the nitty-gritties of, because they're the ones who approve the budgets for the counties. They will be able to deal with the small things, the purchases and all that, and point out issues that come. So that by the time the report is filed to the Senate or the National Assembly, we are looking at bigger things, we're looking at the bigger issues, big things that have been flagged out by the Auditor General. Because then the Senate is not going to look at, what was purchased where, because then that will be duplication, we will be duplicating what the county assemblies are doing. So
when you say that there's need to build capacity at the county assemblies, is it a wish, or it's something that already is active in ensuring that happens? That's
something that, a recommendation that has been made, and part of the role of the national government, actually, if you check the law, is to build the capacity of the county assemblies. And my recommendation has been, because these people come from various backgrounds, they're elected, then they find themselves in the county assemblies. Some of them, they have diverse backgrounds. My recommendation would be that after they're elected, they're taken to Kenya School of Government to be trained in matters of finance, to be trained in matters of human resource and matters of governance. So that when somebody says the chair of the budget committee or is the chair of a particular committee, at least you have some background, you have been trained in what you are doing. But otherwise, most of them are just, what we call in management, muddling through. You're just learning on the job. You make a lot of mistakes. And therefore, when you're oversighting a county government without capacity, it becomes a problem. Then again, the county government, the county assemblies, one way of also ensuring that they also do their oversight well is to have financial independence, so that they don't rely on the governor in terms of finance. Because if they are going to oversight, if they are going, for example, to inspect a project, And the vehicle they are using has been fueled by the governor. I already know he's the one who is giving them allowances, you know, to go and do that work. Of course, you know the results.
Right.
The results will already be
maybe skewed.
Yeah, skewed. So we need them to build capacity of the county assemblies, have financial independence so that they're able to manage their own funds. And after, when they do that, they will do the oversight so that now the Senate, as we do our oversight, we remain like, you know, we look at the global oversight.
Okay.
And that is what...
do you belong to the school of thought that thinks that the level of education for MCA should be raised, or should we just, after every election, we go and build capacity at the Kenya School of Government?
Me, I'm of the view that the education standard should be raised. At least, you know, have apart from minimum, maybe Form 4, certain grade, and then, you know, maybe a diploma or a degree. If you have a degree, that would be very good. Of course, some people have been arguing that you are not putting up an elitist kind of class, or, you know, this is not a university. And leadership, there are people who have also been very good leaders without having gone to school. But again, when you go to school, it opens up your mind. You can be able to look at things from a different perspective. So if we can achieve that, get a minimum educational requirement, that would be the best, because you'll have committees that are very, very good. Some counties are very good members of county assembly, you know, engineers, lawyers, and I know as time continues, we are going to get to that. But again, an election is, you know, people elect. If a whole ward is full of, say, Manambas, and then, you know, they elect one of their own, that is their right. It's a democratic right. It's a representative.
Okay, but why is that conversation? Is there any an amendment bill in the works?
You know, you remember it came up sometime, I think, in the 11th Parliament. But that was just towards the tail end of the 11th Parliament, and then it was removed. It was shut down. I think it's a conversation that needs to come back, so that, because again, if we are encouraging people to go to school, you know, saying let's have an 100% transition to secondary school or university, then we have to reward also merit. So that if people go to school, they should be rewarded to by, you know, giving them opportunities to use what they have learned in school.
I want to focus on the county assemblies specifically. We know that there are situations that are facing various county speakers, talking about Nairobi, Kakamega, Homa Bay, and several others, including Kisumu, that were sometimes last year there was some chaos beating the speaker there, Onyango Olo. And you find a situation where MCAs are now fighting speakers, or speakers are fighting MCAs. There's that lack of respect. There's impeachment that is happening. Like Nairobi doesn't have a substantive speaker since Beatrice Elachi was impeached, and now a matter is in court. There have been people suggesting that an impeachment has to be endorsed by the Senate, an impeachment of the speaker. Where do you see it in all this?
I think, you know what, we need stability in institutions. And when I talk about stability, is, for example, if you are going to engage in fights, that will be at the detriment of development in that particular county, because we need stability, and that is why the process of, say, impeaching the speaker of the county assembly or any speaker should be should be tightened up, so that maybe members of the county assembly don't just wake up one morning and impeach a speaker or something like that. There needs to be some very good reasons why that is done, because again, when you have too many of those, you find that it will create instability in the institutions. And I don't think that in this second round of devolution, we should have a lot of those wars. Because in the first round, you know, it was a learning curve. And I understand, you know, everybody was trying to fight for their space, the governors, the senators, the members of the county assembly, everybody was new in the game. But this time round, I think we should have stability in our institutions so that we focus on the main agenda, that the agenda of the day, the agenda of the assemblies, so that we don't concentrate on tackling each other, but tackling issues that are coming. So it's a bit unfortunate that we have had those situations in those counties, but it's our role. We will also be going around. We have changed our style of management. The Senate will also be going around, you know, a plan to go to Homa Bay County, just to talk to members of the county assembly with the Senate of the area and a few senators, so that we have a conversation. Because as the devolution family, really, if devolution is not going to work, we shall be held accountable by generations that will come after us. It's our role to ensure that we have stability in the county assemblies. Our role to understand the issues that are facing. We are not saying that if somebody is not performing, then again, it should not be removed, but there should be a proper procedure. And I agree with those who are suggesting that maybe for that to happen, then the Senate should come in. That's a conversation that we can be looked at and strengthened. Okay.
And I want to focus on another challenge that is actually active currently, the nurses' strike and the instability that is affecting the health sector. At a time that we have a big four agenda of universal health coverage, health coverage, yes. And the counties are divided. We have some counties that the operations are going on because they have implemented their CBA. We have others that have not signed. The COG has advised that please don't sign. The SRC has advised that if you raise these allowances for the nurses, then they are going to go above, they will go above the rest of the public service. Yet, the Senate is still there. These are issues that you can help canvass.
Yes.
What will you be doing about it?
Yeah, I think already the Senate is seized of the matter. The Committee on Labor, which is chaired by Senator Sakaja, has had a meeting with the nurses, the leadership, the union, COG, and I think they are finding a way of dealing with this matter. Again, like you know, not all counties are the same in terms of the finances that they are getting. You had the governor, Tulgos of Elgeyo Marakwet saying that he doesn't have the money to pay. And that could be a true situation because, again, the funds that have gone, if you look at it, you have to balance maybe buying drugs and also raising the money to that, then you'll ground to a halt. So the Senate is already dealing with it. The Health Committee looked at the issue. But now, because it's a labor matter, it's now being handled by the Labor Committee. As we resume today, we'll be getting a report from the committee on how far they have gone in tackling the matter. But again, we don't just want this patching, you know, what we all these short-term solutions. I think we need to get a comprehensive solution to the health sector because it is so key. It's one of the agenda set by the president, and you know, health is devolved. We need to find a lasting solution. Just the way we had an ad hoc committee on maize in agriculture, which has come up with very strong recommendations to again also address the issue of the maize, and this was done when we were in the Senate Mashinani, when we were in Wasinigishu. And it's a very comprehensive report. So I think we are doing our best, and we want to come up with lasting solutions, not waiting and just giving first aid. Like, you know, we want to deal with the health now, then next we have agricultural officers and all that. We want to come up with concrete and long-term solutions to a lot of these problems that are facing the several sectors.
First aid on the health crisis.
Yes.
That's interesting. Now, you have spoken about what the Senate has done on the ad hoc committee on maize, and that's not the point of focus, but the focus is we see the Senate investigating a certain matter, and at the same time the National Assembly is investigating that matter. Case in point, issues to do with sugar, issues to do with Roraka land. Why do you do this?
You see, the essence of a bicameral system is to check on each other. In fact, in most jurisdictions, the Senate is the upper house. And the Senate also is mandated to have the committees. And to me, the way where we sit is a good idea because, you know, we have heard of cases where they're saying, oh, this committee has been compromised, you know, this and that. To me, if two committees are looking at the same issue, ideally, if we are looking at the same issue, we should be able to come up with the same results. But if we come up, I say this is a glass with water, and you're saying this is a glass with soda, then we are seeing two different things. Then we must find out where the variance is. And that's a very good way of checking on each other, so that if we are looking at, say, the sugar, we're investigating a matter on sugar, and the National Assembly is also investigating on the matter of sugar, because in any case, you see, this country is divided into counties. Tell me a place where there's no county. You know, it's 47 counties that form the nation. And therefore, any matter coming up also falls within a county.
Right.
And it's just a good way of checking on each other. That's the bottom line, that we were able to...
But you see, Speaker, it's easy to say that it's a good way to check on each other, but the fact of the matter is public resources are being used to investigate the same thing. You're inviting the same public officials, you're visiting the same locations. I mean...
but if you look at... You see, what we are interested in is getting a credible result out of it.
So why is it not possible for the two houses to speak to each other and agree we should pursue this?
Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we have joined committees looking at the same matter. Because if it's a matter, for example, a health matter in, say, Kenyatta National Hospital, so there's a referral hospital, and therefore national government project or mandate. If we are looking at that, we can have the Committee on Health from the Senate and the Committee of Health from the National Assembly jointly doing the job. Sometimes we do that, but sometimes also the Senate would want just to also look at an issue on its own way, on its own, so that we also get the results and let's see what is it we are finding and what is it the National Assembly is finding. If the same, then there's no problem. Because at times, you know, if we focus so much on saying on resources and we are forgetting the results that we want to achieve, then we may also lose the point. Because it is a matter of getting a credible report on an issue that has come up. Because you may find that depending on how you look at the issues that you're investigating, sometimes you end up with different reports. This one is saying this one is saying this, and that's where now you need to mediation. You go and sit down and say, why are we getting different results? Who did not do the work properly? And then Mwananchi ends up getting a credible report. It's just a way of counter-checking, you know, and that's by nature the bicameral system. That's the way it works.
Okay. All right. And I want to end up with a question on, we've seen reports that after the Auditor General has given you reports and then the Senate has looked at them and have come up with adverse recommendations against certain governors, including sort of surcharging for them to account for resources that they never did. But we never hear of implementation of such recommendations.
Yeah, that's why one of the issues that the conversation we are having is that because the Senate only makes recommendations, because we don't have they don't have powers to prosecute. Once they make recommendations to other agencies of government that deal with those matters. For example, ESCC, the DCI, because those are the people who have capacity then to get into in-depth investigations on some of the issues that would have been raised. So we'll be saying that, and this is a matter that the Senate has also discussed and raised concern that they want to see the recommendations that they make to various agencies implemented as per their recommendations. So it's a concern, it's a going concern, and I'm sure that as the Senate will also be making follow-ups to know what has happened to some of the recommendations that they've made.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Lusaka. I can't advise you to speak of laying off some employees at this point in time, no matter how painful it may be. This is directly against Agenda 4. Or you have forgotten that. That's a viewer. Another one says that I'm Kennedy Ngonze from Busia County. My question to the Senate Speaker, how much does one wheelbarrow cost? I think they are talking about those wheelbarrows of 2015.
Yes.
10 of them that cost
109.
Yes, 109. Yeah. That was 1.09 million in total. I don't know, what went with that conversation? Eventually, how was it settled?
I think the matter went to court, and what I know is the people were taken to court, and it's the procedure that was a problem. And this matter has been explained over and over and over. I think the thing was just over-dramatized, because I think they should have said it was a food trolley, because they were not the ordinary wheelbarrows. No person in his right mind can buy a wheelbarrow at 109. These were meant for, they were meant to be used in a slaughterhouse. And you see, if you are going to export any, having worked in the livestock sector, if you are going to export any meat to any country, they must be non-carcinogenic in terms of, you know, addressing the issue of cancer. So, but you see, those who are found not to have followed the proper procedure were taken to court, charged, and the matter, I think, was finalized. So it's a matter that went to court, and determination was given.
There were food trolleys, not
Yes, the food trolleys. In any case, that recommendation came from the national government, which deals with standards and policy. They say they should buy, because we're putting up a chicken slaughterhouse in Bungoma. And the recommendation was you must have food trolleys, and they talked of wheelbarrows that are non-carcinogenic, you use non-carcinogenic material. Because in any case, the county had purchased wheelbarrows at 3,000, 4,000. So if you look at that and look at even the people quoted. But I think the procedure, the long and short of it is that at some point the procedure was not followed by the tender committee, and the tender committee was taken to court, and the matter was concluded.